want to leave my fiance because her family is unbearable.
Bears, lions, tigers. What's next?
I've been dating my fiance for 4 years and I've been engaged for 7 months. We are trying to plan out a wedding for roughly fall next year. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So her childhood was terrible and harmful, to put it mildly. Her parents were raging, self-absorbed people, and she was the scapegoat for her 2 brothers. She was mistreated and thrown out the moment she turned 18. She was, however, a great student and a hard worker, so with some scholarships and a part-time job, she has built a great career and is pretty independent. The problem is, though, that she still has contact with her family. And none of them have changed. Well, actually, something has changed. They have become more financially dependent on her. Great. They enjoy slowly creeping back into her life and emotionally blackmailing her for support or whatever she can do. They're not pleasant about it either. They're rude, smug, and generally enjoy being a nuisance. And my fiance can't say no matter the horrible things they say or how they outright try and intimidate her openly. I've always known her family history and have always supported her through the issues with them, but in the last year or so, they have become far more brazen and asinine. They've come over to my house more often. They make messes all around the place. Her mother acts like she's the effing stepmother from Cinderella. Her dad drinks all of my effing adult soda and empties out half of the fridge. Her brothers stop by occasionally to act as mouthpieces for their parents. They practically trash the place and leave us to clean the mess.
Hey, have we heard of locks? There are these things you can put on your doors, and then people can't come in unless they have the key.
Yeah, great investment, I would say. And where is my fiance in all of this? Quietly standing in the corner, practically shaking. I'm no fool here. There is legitimate trauma. There's her need to feel loved by them and her hoping that they will appreciate her. Before one of you noble commenters states the obvious, she's been in therapy for this for years. I've tried to establish boundaries. For nearly 2 years, I've been trying to push these booty clowns away, but this is her house she purchased, and no matter the contributions, financial or otherwise, she won't let me have a say on who comes into her house. She's been beaten down mentally and emotionally by them for so long. She has also told me recently that she wants to earn their approval and that they were right about her, that she needs to be better for them. I've had too many emotional conversations with tears and begging to count, hoping that she will take the steps to get better. But she's an adult. I can't force her to do anything. I love her, but I can't help feel so resentful of what she's doing. It's agonizing watching someone you love, someone who you know deserves so much better, openly destroy themselves for people like her family. It's been painful watching her cry herself to sleep one too many nights because of them. I've tried too many times to help her get out of their clutches, but I have to think of the future. What happens when we have kids? What happens when she is postpartum and invites them over? What happens if there's a medical emergency for either of us? What if our finances get tight and they still demand money? This is the in-law family from heck, and I won't be able to avoid them. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell her how I want to delay the wedding until firm boundaries are established. If she resents that, I walk. I can't do it anymore. I refuse to watch a slow death like this any further. And we do have a small update. Shall we discuss before we get into that?
It makes sense that you're at a breaking point here, but I don't think ultimatums seldom will work in these scenarios. You know, like now you're just going to your wife or your fiance who's in fear. Like you said, she's shaking in the corner. Like she's in a fear response. And you're trying to be like, well, I know you're, afraid of your family and your parents, but I'm going to now use fear to try to get you to leave them because I'm basically threatening you with me leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if OP was going to tell her about that. I think that might have just been like his own kind of boundaries to himself.
Well, you'd have to. You got to be like, hey, it's now you have to choose them or me. And I think it needs to be more like he said, like, I cannot see you this way. It's destroying me.
Right.
Think about our kid potentially.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think what he's bringing up is definitely valid. I just don't think making an ultimatum necessarily, because I feel like to make it an ultimatum, you would have to tell her about it and be like, hey, if you don't do this, then I'm going to leave.
Did he not say at the end? He said, I'm going to go to her and say it's either they stop coming or I'm out?
Not necessarily. He said if she resents that, I walk.
Oh, okay.
He does have that boundary. He's not necessarily going to come to her and be like, I'm going to lay this out. You have to think about it, but if the answer isn't what I want, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I feel like if you say that ahead of time, then it is an ultimatum. But if you kind of just keep that to yourself, then it's not.
Well, he knows she's going to pick them. She's not in a place where she's able to not pick them because she's in like a fear response. You're not going to solve this with anything but love.
That is just so hard because in those kind of manipulative like situations, it's like it's really up to the victim to get themselves out of there. And that's the hardest thing to do. But there is an update. So let's see what happens. So we have a small update. I talked to her and it went about as well as one could possibly expect. Currently getting myself set up in a hotel for a few days and working on a possible long-term plan for moving out. Still a lot going on right now, but maybe sometime next week I'll be able to put everything together into one update. And we do have an update. So, okay. So it looks like right now he's getting some distance from himself. Let's see where it's going. The night after I made the first post, I had decided that I was going to have a heart-to-heart with my fiancée about her family. However, she came back from work the next day early and I was already off that day, so I initiated the talk a little sooner than I planned. Essentially, I told her about how this arrangement was not sustainable. I did not feel comfortable marrying her due to how much involvement in her life her family has, and I certainly did not feel comfortable bringing a child into this world with them. I didn't want to tell her to go cold turkey, no contact with them, but strict limitations to start with on them coming over and what they can do around the house. I also requested couples therapy before marriage. She wasn't happy. She was just staring angrily at me while I spoke and then started yelling at me when I finished. Oh no.
I wonder where she learned that behavior.
Yeah. She told me I don't understand their dynamic and it worked for her. I told her that they're harmful users who will bleed her dry and I have never seen them show any decency towards her. She told me that she just had to work harder for them to appreciate her. I basically yelled at her that a parent's child shouldn't have to beg and plead and work for them to be loved. I finally told her that she sets limits with them or I walk. She was livid, and since I was living in her house, I was punted out. So the past few days, I have been staying in a hotel and have had my stuff taken out and put into storage. And frankly, it's been great. I'm going to stay with the family for a few weeks around mid-July, and after that, I'm going to go house searching for myself. I've spent the last couple days relaxing, catching up on movies and video games that I haven't had time for, and could go back from work to a quiet room without her family tearing the place apart. Yesterday, however, things came to a head. We have basically been no contact since she booted me out, but I know every Saturday her family loves to spend the afternoon over, and she uses me as a shield from their. However, in a very petty move, I simply kept my phone muted all day and played Disco Elysium. I knew she would call back for help with her family, and at this point, pure resentment was kicking in for her, and I wanted nothing to do with her issues. By the end of the night, she had sent me over a dozen texts and finally 2 frantic voicemails begging me to come home. I decided to come over and check up on her. Long story short, she was sobbing in the living room, and when I came back to talk to her, she was practically crushing my back, hugging me and sobbing. I gave her time to cool off and asked what happened. Long story short, her parents and brother came by to grift money from her and say horrible crap to her. She wanted to have me come over to help, but I was ignoring her, and when she tried to have one of her friends help out and everyone basically said, F that, it all started clicking in for her.
Okay.
She punted her family out, but not before they said some utterly vile crap to her that I won't repeat. She kept apologizing to me and told me over and over to come home. I told her plainly that I had started to build up heavy resentment towards her for some time, and while I loved her and understand it was trauma and not her being outright harmful, there was major issues that would need to be addressed if we were to move forward. And here are the issues. We got them laid out. She sells the house and moves. We make roughly the same amount of money and we will buy a house together. I am a grown butt man and I will not live in a house I have no equal agency over. Her family will never step foot in it. They will never come over. They will be treated by me in a very threatening manner if they try and come in. She gets a new therapist and we start premarital counseling. Nice. Like what we were saying.
Sometimes you gotta try a new one.
And give it a shot. She never makes me interact with her family. We will go low contact with her family right now, but make no mistake, we are working towards full no contact on her end. I told her I love her. We have been together for a while now and have beautiful memories together, and I know she is suffering from it. But these are non-negotiable, and if she has a problem with any of them, then we have to go our separate ways. She told me that she's realized for a while now that her family is toxic and unhealthy, and she wants to make changes. She has accepted, but some of these will take a while to see through. For now, I'm going to stay in the hotel until I head back to stay with my family. She is welcome to come over, but I have made it clear that her house is not somewhere that I want to go. Her and I are both off tomorrow, so we will spend the day here and maybe go out. This is obviously not over yet, but I might not post anything else until mid-August or so. And guess what? We have the second post. We have another update.
I'm applauding. Low-key kind of a brilliant move by OP there.
Honestly, she had to find out for herself, and she did.
Yeah, and I bet it hurt. I'm sure it hurt, but like, dude, there's times where people need cold water and you could not give it to her with words, so she had to just experience it with no buffer. Clearly you had, you're emotionally drained from all of this because you've been the buffer. You've been playing defense. You were the goalie for all of their toxic crap. So you were just getting hit by it all the time.
Right. And you were doing, the right decision for the both of you or for whoever would be in that situation and leaving. And so when she saw that, she was like, wait, what? We can do that? No, really? No way. And it's like, yeah, you can. It's available. It's available to you.
It's an option.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, this is going great. Very difficult things happening.
I think OP did say, I think what I did might have been cruel. I kind of agree, but it's nowhere near as cruel as what her family was doing.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So it's like the lesser of two evils, and it's not coming from a bad place. You're not doing it out of spite. You were doing it out of, I hope she freaking sees now that they're not good, and this does not work for her.
Yeah.
That was so delusional.
Yeah, absolutely. But on to update number 2. So, despite all intentions of not updating until much later with the hopes of an improved relationship with my fiancé and her establishing boundaries with her toxic family, we are now broken. No, that is not what I was looking for. Essentially, what happened was after last weekend where I left her for the time to deal with them herself, she seemed to finally grasp the situation and was open to changes, including boundaries and a possible move. We spent Monday and Tuesday hanging out in my hotel that I was staying in until I went back to my family for a couple of weeks. The other night, she was being very vague with texting when she originally was supposed to come over. She came much later than expected, and I knew something was up. She basically unloaded on me how I was harmful, controlling, overly demanding, and unsupportive. It took me 5 effing seconds to figure out she was repeating verbatim some sort of rehashed speech from her parents. And to be honest, I was so agitated at this point, despite making a huge gamble on her, I decided to be a prick about it. I asked her if her family told her to say this. She said that they suggested it to her, but she came up with it herself.
Yeah, so wait, the family that suggested this to you, they're not controlling? The ones who put the words in your mouth aren't controlling you?
I asked her to explain in detail what I did, and she said I was living like a parasite off of her. I reminded her that I'm paying 50-50 for her effing mortgage, 50-50 for utilities and groceries as well. I have my own car I pay for, a job that makes just about as much as hers, unlike her effing leech parents who demand payments on the weekly and raid the kitchen on the weekends. I told her to try again with something better. She looked flustered and said I was trying to isolate her. This is so frustrating.
Just let it go. She needs to work on her situation with herself and her family before she can ever be ready to be in a committed relationship with another person.
I kind of smirked like a donkey and told her that I have always supported her many friendships that she has destroyed on her own because no one wants to deal with her family or be used as a shield like me. I was practically demanding to know at this point why she is so hellbent on destroying her life for these people. She just kind of shouted that I don't understand her family and that she's just trying to earn their love back and was basically ranting at that point. It's just so staggering to see up close. I have ventured into a few subreddits to get perspectives, and if you have any familiarity with them, you'll see how people who are victims of abuse by their own family can be so utterly broken by it that it'll wreck their brain to where they truly believe that they are the problem and that they deserve. Well, that's how she was. She was utterly broken and didn't want help. She didn't want to get better. She just wanted to get worse. It hit me like a truck, honestly, the realization. I really did feel like a fool for trying, even if it was what I was supposed to do in the first place. She was practically berserk at this point, and I just was mentally exhausted and needed her to leave before someone called the police. She finally left, but I had a few concerned neighbors check on me. Some of her friends are aware as they have messaged me checking on the situation. I told them the truth and that I just needed to be alone to think what to do next right now. They have revealed that she has given them similar rants after expressed concern for her. One had even heard that she may be possibly at risk of losing her job. She is definitely having some sort of mental break. From my understanding, she is now completely isolated. She is actually sprinting into a horrible, lonely life right now. There's nothing I can do for her at this point, and as selfish as it sounds, I'm just glad it's going to be behind me. And we do have another update, but that is such a rough one. So update number 3. Things have kind of wrapped up, but there were some loose ends. I completely forgot to change my mailing address, which I should have done ASAP. So a couple of important things got sent to her house. I had to go pick them up, plus a final couple items that I want for my move that I left there, and decided that I wanted to actually take. She was being difficult and not responding to messages in regards to them, so I had to go get them from her myself. I brought a mutual friend just in case. Thankfully, she was at least cooperative in letting me get my stuff, and it wasn't much of an issue. Everything else was, though. She had a lot of nasty things to say, telling me that she was already sleeping around, telling me how happy she was now that I was gone, telling me she's finally free of me, how she's going to be so much better off without me. A lot of generic insults and horrible things that you would commonly expect from a nasty breakup. And you know what? It was so effing obvious that it was a rehashed script from her family, and you could easily see how miserable she was. She looked like a mess, like she hasn't slept in days. The house was a mess. She wasn't even yelling it. She sounded so exhausted and broken when she said it. Oh my gosh. This is painful. She didn't even smile when she said anything. Just a face contorted in hate and anger. She was not the woman I knew anymore. That person was gone. When I was getting ready to leave, she was still going on. I was fed up and told her something along the lines of, congratulations, your friends are gone, your human shields are gone, your engagement is over, your support is gone. Anyone who ever treated you like a decent human being is gone. It's just you and your family. I hope you're happy while they bleed you dry. Probably didn't go like that, but something like it. And she just stood there, literally just stood there and looked at me with indifference and walked away as I walked out the door. As we were leaving, the mutual friend Tiffany asked if I was okay. I reassured her that I was, and I'm just trying to get myself set up to go home next week. She also confirmed that she hears that my ex did lose her job for not showing up for several days and basically ghosted them. They're going to try an intervention next week and asked if I could participate, but I'm not delaying my travel because frankly, I just want a clean break.
Yeah, you don't want me there.
Yeah, I think he said what he needed to.
It's just, I don't think his presence is going to promote cool heads.
Yeah. I know for a fact that if I stay involved, I'm only going to be witnessing the slow descent to either a full break or self-harm. I just can't do that. Despite all of this, I'm actually excited for the future, and I have realized that I ignored way too many red flags at the beginning. Even with everything that happened, I know I'll be doing good and am going to be all right. I expect this to be my final update. I'm still in town until Sunday afternoon, so something could happen while I'm still here, but if anything does, it won't be exciting. But we do have another update.
Oh, God.
It just keeps going.
Okay, I'm still holding out hope that this ends with, like, you know, complete cutting off of the family and, like, just a complete wake-up call.
There's more to the story, so it's possible.
This is a lesson, though, that there's sometimes nothing you personally can do in a situation where even if he didn't, you know, lean into the negativity or come at her foul, you know, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if he had the toolkit to address the issues she's going through.
Yeah, it's very complicated and very dependent on the person in the situation for sure. And not just an easy thing to just like come up with in your brain. You need to like study this stuff for sure. But we do have another update. So update number 4. I'm currently back in my home state with my family, refamiliarizing myself with the area. I have 100% decided to stay here permanently and am starting the long process of looking up homes in the area. I've been doing great and hanging out with friends and family. A couple of mutuals with my ex-fiancé have let me know what's been happening and things finally seem to be getting better. Okay. The plan was for an intervention on Sunday, but Saturday night, after her family visited again, she called friends in an absolute manic state. It finally seems to have clicked how badly she screwed up. It was a full-blown panic attack and a meltdown, which ended with her in the ER.
Which is good, though.
Yeah, she's getting help, I guess.
That's where she should probably be at this moment right now.
Probably, yeah. Needless to say, she finally admits how miserable she is and that she's messed up her life badly. Apparently, she tried calling me, but I had her blocked. She still has her job, and that info about her losing it was wrong, but she's hanging by a thread there. Her boss has basically ordered her to use her PTO for a few weeks to get her head on straight. She's a valuable asset there, and they are trying to make sure that she can fix herself before they pull the plug on her. Her friend group is extremely close. My ex was someone who was a very helpful and supportive friend, so it makes sense that her group is going this far in trying to help her. It is, however, an unspoken agreement that if she goes back to how she was again, they are all prepared to let her sink on her own. She's doing as well as can be expected. Her family has continued to pester her with calls and messages, and they've tried showing up to her house but have been firmly redirected by friends and even neighbors. I hope that she truly understands the kind of support system that she has. As trashy crap show family disputes usually go, her parents and brothers have taken it to Facebook, which from what I heard has been in my ex's favor, as it has exposed their behavior to many more people and seems to have shut them up for a little. But guess who's never gonna shut up? It's us. You guessed it. Okay, Storytime. Just go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, because we've got full episodes with more stories just like this one.
Oh, yeah.
We're literally always over here just yapping. Gosh, yeah, there's a tiny bit more to the story, but okay. We're having another rock bottom moment.
Well, look, and this is the thing some people go through. It's good that she's got a supportive front group and they're doing this intervention and it seems like it's worked. And I like that they did say it's like, hey, we're doing this, but if this happens again, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
It's going to be sink or swim and it's going to be just you.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, they still have to look out for themselves too. So if it's like really draining for themselves, just like it was for OP, then yeah, they don't have to stay there.
I'm not going to use my breath on this thing that it's not going to happen. You know, it's like when you have a friend who's, you know, dating some, and you're like, hey, stop. After they're like, wah, 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 wah. And then after X amount of times, you're like, just stop talking to me about it. And they're like, what? And it's like, because I tell you what to do and you just never do it. Don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, stuff is so complicated. But there is a little bit more to the story. Finally, she had one of the mutuals pass a message to me. Essentially, it was her admitting that all the horrible things that she said to me were not true and were done by her family, as I knew they were. She apologized for how things ended and hoped that we could one day reconnect. Sadly, I had to relay that we need to stay separated for good and that she just needs to focus on her healing. But I told her I still care for her and I wish her the best, but this needs to be our goodbye. The message seems to have been passed along, and her friends are helping her process that. She's got a long way to go, but I hope that she can find her peace as I am finding mine. And that is the end of that story. Wow.
It's a good place to leave it emotionally, I think, for him.
I think so too.
I hope he learns the lesson of not falling into the like emotional negativity trap of like coming at people like with foul intent.
You don't need to respond like that.
You know, we're only human.
We're only human.